Hey guys, welcome back to Desktop. Every once in a while, since I started getting a little bit bigger on YouTube, a company I have never heard of will reach out to me and they will tell me that they have a product that I don't believe exists because it sounds way too good. 9 times out of 10, when that company sends me the product, it's bad. It is in fact not good. And this is not one of those times. Today we are talking about the Oneleaf.ai Mars Mini and why it just might be the best thermal on the market. So what is Oneleaf.ai? Well, they make a few products, but the one that we're talking about today is the Mars Mini. And they reached out to me a while ago, just asking me if I wanted to try their product out and potentially make a video on it. And it sounded just too good to be true. They told me that they had a pistol mounted thermal that had a 640 by 512 sensor on it and interchangeable lenses, which is something I've never heard of on a pistol thermal or any thermal. And I've done a lot of thermal stuff in this last year. So when they told me that, they said it was this great, and I look it on their website and it's around $2,000. So the price lines up with what they're claiming it could be. I said, go ahead and send it to me. No guarantee I'll make a video on it, expecting to not think it's anything too special. And then this product shows up at my door, and the unboxing experience was amazing, but more importantly, the amount of stuff that they send with this thing was amazing to me. Now, they did send me the version with the 19mm and 25mm lens, so I can show you guys the difference between the two. But well, first thing you'll notice when you open this up is just how much stuff you actually get. So even if you just get the 19mm or the 25mm version of this, you're going to get 3 spare batteries in the box. You're going to get a Picatinny rail mount, you're going to get an eyepiece holder, you're going to get an eyepiece, and we'll talk about what that is later. You're going to get an RMSC plate adapter, you're going to get a DPP plate adapter, you're going to get a Glock MOS pistol adapter, and it's going to come pre-installed with an RMR plate adapter on it. Because again, they're expecting you to mount this to a handgun, or at least letting you know that you can mount it to a handgun. This optic is really, really small for having a 640 by 512 sensor on it. It is one of the smallest that I've used, but not the smallest that I've used. The smallest thermal that I use goes to the Infotech FMP13, and going into a bunch of companies send me products that I don't make videos on, this is one of them. It unfortunately falls flat for me by being only touchscreen and only having a 0.5 or 1x mode for the optic, which makes it, for me at least, next to impossible to use for any real thermal engagement. Do you like LED signs? Because if you do, you should also like Desktop. And if you like Desktop, you should like my channel sponsors. These are the guys that keep the lights on, and I seriously could not be making videos without them. Don't forget that if you use the code PLEASE at any of their checkouts, it gives you a discount and tells them to keep supporting the Desktop channel, so I can keep testing obscure products like this that happen to be some of the best thermals on the market. Let's get back into the video. Shooting with a thermal is so weird because you're usually target focused. So like I look at my target and then I bring my scope into it. But since it's a thermal and I'm looking at the target, I have to look at the thermal and then shoot the target. It's very strange. It's a very different experience. Now, the second I opened the Mars Mini, I knew that this was probably going to be something that I'd end up making a video on because the quality of the product and the items that it came with really made it seem like it was going to stack up. You also get a whole bunch of O-rings, all the tools you're going to need, and then a battery adapter because you can actually use an 18500 battery that's 2000 mAh if you need some extended runtime with your one battery, which is kind of how I ended up preferring to run this. All of this is really good, but obviously my concern with anything I buy is what's it like to get it serviced. And Oneleaf has assured me that they have very, very fast customer service and they back all their products with a 3-year warranty. Now, obviously the best type of warranty is the warranty that you never have to use. So the 3-year warranty is great, but never having to use it is going to be better. And fortunately, I didn't encounter any problems at all in my use that would make me think I'm going to have to use the warranty. Now, however, I have used this optic extensively in the last 2 months, and though I did not mount it to a handgun because I could not bring myself to do so, I did mount it to 2 bolt-action rifles, my 8.6 and of course my 300 Blackout, which to me gave me a good sense of how I think this should be used. And then I did throw it on a PCC because I wanted to give it a test using just the screen with no eyepiece. What's up, dude? Look guys, it's Juicy. What's up, dude? I'm filming. They have color palettes I've never seen on a thermal before, and ironically, I really like them. I have this set to Jungle Snow, and you can see red hot. So my thermal paster is red hot. I'm gonna go through this real fast. Black with black hot, that's a standard one. I guess I could change this side here from snow over to what we're on today. So there is fog, which is really where we are today. I think you guys can see there's some fog around here. Camera person, can they see that in the camera? They can see that in the camera, cool. So we are in black hot with fog mode. I'm gonna go through all the modes here. White is normal. This is a standard mode. And then you get into the weird ones. Sepia, never seen sepia on a thermal before. It is really good. It's like a very dark image. So if you're in nighttime, it doesn't disrupt my, my dark vision or my night vision. And then very bright orange for hot. The other one that's really good, Iron Bow, that's a pretty standard thermal. And then Rainbow. Rainbow is what I think most people are used to, where it's red and hot, and then blue and green are cold. The night vision one, very cool. It's green. It's green and it's bright green, but for some reason it works and it's really, really easy. I'm gonna zoom probably all the way out here. We're zoomed all the way in. It's a 6X. Oh my goodness. There's a little bit of lag here today. There we go. Okay, we're zoomed all the way out now. So you can see I have the dot and the circle, because if I'm zoomed all the way out, I have a nice viewable little red circle on my screen, and then the dot when I zoom in. So really neat little system here, and it looks like it is in fact recording. This is 1X. You can see green is very hot, like it's a neon green on your screen, so you can see it really easily. The mode I've been using the most is red hot. Now, one of the best features when I was using this is that it has multiple thermal modes that I've never seen before. One that's like a sepia, kind of a completely orange with a really bright orange hot mode, and then one that's green for night vision, and it's actually very pleasant on the eyes and easy to use. And then it also has an assortment of contrast settings for if you're in the fog, if you're in the rain, if you're in the forest, if you're in the snow, which is, ironically, I used it in the fog and the snow, and they work really, really well. In addition to that, the other plus here is that this has a whole bunch of buttons for the controls, so if it's cold and you are using it in the snow or the freezing weather, you don't need to touch the touchscreen to change any of the settings. You can do it all from the push button. That's also beneficial, obviously, because if you have the eyepiece mounted to it, you're not going to be able to touch the touchscreen to make changes. So being able to access it with the buttons makes it, in my opinion, kind of the best bet. And of course, the touchscreen is tiny, so you can imagine on this one, it's super small, and the only way to zoom in is to pinch out or pinch in, and on this one you have a button for the zoom magnification, which makes it 10 times easier to use, and of course if you have gloves on, glove friendly. So for the lenses, the 19mm lens has a 1X to 6X, which I will show you guys the perspectives here in a minute, whereas the 25mm lens is a 1.6X to 9.6X. And I'm going to show you guys what that would look like in real life before we move on. All right, so I have this recording here. You guys can see the laser rangefinder is on. It's at 23 yards away. Let me make sure that that is correct. Yeah, 23.2 yards away, so we'll turn the laser rangefinder off. It has 2 different lens options and probably more to come in this form factor. So right now I have the widest lens on it. You guys can see that. I've got white hot, so you can see the thermal heat signature there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the other lens on it, keep it at this same exact distance, so you can see that you have 2 options. You have some different depth, as well as having obviously the 6X digital zoom with a pip that gives me a little bit more. So these are pretty easy to pop off. Boom. So this is 1X with the 25mm instead of the 19mm. And you can see it's now a lot closer. The other advantage of this, obviously with it being digital magnification, is I'm gonna stop rolling. And the only reason I have to stop rolling is because you can't record and access the menu, which is kind of a bummer. But I'm gonna go over to my menu. I'm gonna go down. Hopefully you guys are able to see this. Go down to PIP, which is picture in picture, which is a really cool feature for them to add in this. And then I can turn PIP on. White hot, we are back to the same profile, 25mm lens. You can see it's actually a good amount tighter. And then you have PIPs, you have picture in picture. So I'm able to zoom in even more, and I'm gonna zoom in even more, and all the way in at 6x, a much tighter lens. So if you want to use this on something like a bolt action rifle, this is a 300 blackout break action, it can be used for that. It's a really cool system. Now what makes this so special to me is not its ability to be mounted to a pistol. I unfortunately find that to be, yes, functional if you need a pistol thermal for some reason. However, I find it to be kind of a gimmick. I think that the laser rangefinder is the missing stage on any thermal. I think a thermal with a laser rangefinder is the all in all, especially if you're using something like 300 blackout or 8.6, which is what I put this on because they have such massive amounts of drop at distance. This one also has a ballistic calculator put in. You can get your ballistic coefficients from your ammo manufacturer online. I was lazy, so I actually just launched my D&T app because they have it all pre-programmed, and I just copied their info into this so I could get the ballistic data. And of course, it's just a calculator, so it's gonna do its job. But to me, the biggest advantage of this, and what I think is being slept on, is the fact that it's just a tiny, fully functional thermal optic with a 640 sensor in it. This is my Hydra HS225 for comparison. You can see it's much larger. Even if I take my little eye cup piece off, it's significantly larger than the Oneleaf Mars by a lot. And then this has a larger sensor. This is a 225 sensor, and this is a 640 sensor. So yes, this does come in a lot cheaper. This is a very good budget option, but when it comes down to it, this is tiny. And if you're using it on something where weight matters, this one's gonna come in at about 13 ounces with the battery installed, and this one's gonna be about 17 ounces with no battery installed, so you are going to save a bunch of weight. And that is including the eyepiece on this and the battery. So that's going to be at an equivalent of the Hydra, and then you're going to have all the benefits of the 640 sensor, and in addition to that, you have to focus most of these thermals, even the eye ray, and this one you don't have to focus. Not sure what they're doing here. It's also the first thermal I've seen where they have interchangeable lenses for different field of views and different ranges and distances. So I would imagine there's some sort of autofocus built into this, but it's one of those where you don't have to worry about the focus. Even fully magnified, the object remains in focus, and not having to twist anything to adjust at the front, just being able to use this is such a killer deal. Now the battery life I touched on a little bit. It's about 3 hours with the included battery, but they do include 3 of them, so it's about 9 hours. And I found that I would put the extended battery tube on the side of this, and it can run the 2000 mAh 18500s, so you can crank that to about 4.5 to 5 hours, which is plenty normal for a thermal. Or of course you could bring spare 18500s with you to get it a little bit more juice. It doesn't stick out too far, and if you are already mounting it to a rifle, in my opinion, it's definitely worth going with. Magpul, if you're watching this, these are brand new. These are brand new gloves. Absolutely, is that in focus? Yes. Brand new gloves, Magpul. And they tore, brand new. These, I haven't even touched a hot can with these yet. So anyway, Magpul quality control is garbage. For everyone wondering, Rossi Brawler 300 blackout pistol, Ferrotech conversion chassis, A3 Industries super collapsible stock. This is, Ferrotech's also selling these, but it's a 3D printed arc rail, I forget the company. And then Fletcher Rifle Works, this is just a 3D printed polonium. Basically a $300 complete 300 blackout pistol hunting build. Kind of sick, kind of cheap. I like things that are sick and cheap, so that works out. Now what this is missing that I think it could super benefit from, and it's something that Oneleaf could do by just having a software update, is giving this a clip-on mode. This is my current clip-on optic, the Hydra HS225. The Mars Mini is so much smaller than my Hydra that if I could have the option to run this as a clip-on, I definitely would, because when you are running a clip-on, that weight's kind of in the front, and being able to save almost 4 to 5 ounces on the front of my rifle would be life-changing. So if they would just add a clip-on mode, I'd be extremely ecstatic. Now the price point on this might steer you guys clear, but it is in fact the best thermal I've tested so far in 2025, and I do think that it is well worth the price point for all of the features that you're getting and all of the accessories that they're including in the box. They did give you guys code please, so there is a big benefit there if you're thinking about getting this, and it comes in under $2,000, so it's a very reasonable price. If you are wanting the absolute ever smallest optic, then of course, yes, the Infotac is the way to go. But if you want something a little bit bigger that you can 45-degree offset mount, you can run as a secondary optic, or you can run it as a primary optic or even a primary optic scope if you need to, I would look no further than the Mars Mini. Now, I have a feeling that a lot of us, like me, were hoping that the Infotac Mini would fill the gap that the Mars Mini actually fills, and unfortunately, it's just really hard to get this much tech into something this big. You're going to have a sacrifice somewhere. I do believe Infotac has one of these with a higher resolution sensor coming out, but it's still a 300 sensor, and this is a 640 sensor with interchangeable lenses and a laser rangefinder ballistic calculator built into it. There's just a lot more features here, in addition to what I think the biggest selling point for me is, which is the button control and the ability to attach an eyepiece to it and turn it into an actual scope. That's it guys, thanks so much for watching, and as always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below, or I'm gonna come through the camera and I'm gonna kiss you on your nose.